so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life? Well, that's another, which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week to help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host, Brandon Beecham. I'm the reflection and extension of you who will be here each Wednesday interviewing a different consciousness changemaker. And on the other 4 weekdays, leading the way to ensure that your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. Also, before we jump into today's episode, I'd like to take about a minute and a half to tell you about a few sponsors that not only help to make it possible to produce this show 5 days a week, but that I'm also genuinely passionate about promoting. The first longtime stellar supporter of the show that I want to mention is Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online with over 8,000 video titles. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. The second sponsor I'm sincerely passionate about promoting is Purium. It's no mystery that bringing your mind, body, and spirit into balance is necessary if a person truly intends to manifest the greatest and grandest version of themselves. So if you've been looking for a way to easily get organic superfoods into your system every day with a simple plan that can help you reestablish a healthier foundation and relationship with food, like I was doing before I found Purium, I highly recommend going to positivehead.com/transformation and checking out the videos and interviews there where I dive deeply into discussions explaining why I take these products every day. And should you ultimately end up on iShopPurium.com to purchase any of their 50 plus amazing superfood products, be sure to use the code POSITIVEHEAD, all one word, for a 25% discount. All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome. Here we grow again. It is a magical Monday here in the studio as I record. So grateful to be with you as always. What are we going to talk about today? Well, I think we're going to talk about raising your vibration. No, I don't think we're going to talk about it. I know we're going to talk about it. I saw a TED Talk talking about the raising your vibration and how it increases serendipity and sort of the science behind that. And I think that's always a really important part of this equation of awakening. This spiritual journey that we're on is to really, ground it in some of the science that is ever emerging science that is really backing up a lot of this stuff. And, I know for some people that's really a big point. They really gravitate towards that. Some people more than others, right? And so I always like to sort of, when I can, tie that back in. And actually, I've been listening to a book that does a really good job of that. Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza is a really great book that does that. But yeah, this is a relatively short TED Talk here. A woman named Joanna McEwen, and we're going to listen to that here in a minute. But before we do dive into that topic a little bit further, I would like to take a moment to read a review on iTunes. You guys know I love my iTunes reviews. Not only do they help us to reach new people, but they also help to fuel my fire to continue this labor of love. And so if you haven't reviewed on iTunes, would love it if you would. This one came in by Desi Lou 2, and Desi Lou said, "The best. Hands down the best podcast. I listen to a lot of them in caps, but this is one I just can't miss. Love you, Brandon. Heart. Your laugh warms my heart, and your podcast is something that I look forward to. Aw, thank you, Desi Lou. I love you too, and I'm so grateful that you took the time to review and complete the circle of love I'm putting out into the world. It feels really, really nice to know that I'm making any difference in any of your lives, and it's humbling and rewarding and keeps me going. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the whole idea of, raising your vibration, right? That's even in the show notes description. It's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And that's why we're doing this show 5 days a week in an effort to continually that, soul food, right? If you go a week without eating, you're going to probably feel the effects. And same thing with this. This is energy that we're all resonating with. I mean, I'm starting my days by sort of jumping in the pool of heightened vibration. And what I've noticed is some days, I have people ask me that a lot. Like, how do you do it? Like, aren't there days where you just don't feel like it? And quite honestly, there are some days when I'm less inspired feeling than others to dive into this, sort of high vibe content there's a lot of energy output, right? A lot of transmission that I feel is coming through me. And some days, especially if I haven't slept much or something like that, it's harder to get into that space. But I find once I do, it's like, clockwork. It's just like getting fully connected to source. And all of a sudden I'm being fed with energy. I'm being fed with power. I'm being fed with, this high vibe, elevated, expanded sort of vibrations. And so, what is that about? How is that? I know I feel the physical effects of it, right? And so a lot of people think, can think, oh, it's woo woo. It's, the vibes, this, that, and the other. But really it's a real thing. And there's so much evidence to support it now. One of the smartest men who ever lived, and I've quoted this one before, Nikola Tesla said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And when you start really understanding that we are all just vibrational emanations, right? The particles that make you up are not solid at all. They're 99.9999999% space. And what we call solid are actually fluctuations, vibrations, and energy popping in and out of existence. We don't know where it comes from or where it goes to when it's flickering, but it's intelligent when it shows up here, right? And so when you start understanding like these vibes, this is a very, very real thing, then, and you start playing with it, you start saying, okay, well, if it's all very real, what can I do to sort of maintain an elevated vibration, right? To expand my vibration, listening to things like this podcast or reading a book or listening to music. That's a big one. A lot of people I hear talk about meditation, another huge one, right? You're actually changing your brain waves to more coherent states. They've shown this scientifically now, right? And it causes a very tangible difference in how you feel and how you operate and things that then sort of come from that. And this idea of going into a meditative state and accessing the field, accessing unlimited possibility. It's sort of like, they talk about the observer observing the double slit experiment, right? Within quantum physics, where when we're observing, the particles are in one place, and when we're not observing, they're in a state of quantum superposition. And I feel like that's what we do when we go into meditation, and why it's so important. You literally are going into a state of quantum superposition, and you are, all the possibilities open up. And then you're getting into a coherent state, and then it allows you, when you come back out, to sort of resonate with the greatest and grandest version, the version that you want to experience the most. That's sort of how I view that. And when you think of it, it's like, oh wow, okay, maybe I should be meditating more. Or for some people, they find it more challenging to quiet their brain and get into that meditative state. There's so many ways to do this, to get into a heightened state. For me, music is a huge one. Like the song I'm going to play at the end here, a new song by Ela Nerio. it literally just gives me so many feels listening to it and the words and the vibration of it. And it got me just listening to it before, I decided what I was going to play into an altered state. So what are you doing to alter your state? What is your proactive approach? Are you meditating regularly? If not, that's okay. How about listening to music, carving out time to read something that's elevating, listening to this podcast, listening to other podcasts, there's so many ways to do it. And I think we got to be really careful that, you've got to do it this way. You've got to meditate. No, you don't have to do anything. We're all so unique. And I think that's a really important one on this path. And sometimes people can fall into sort of spiritual elitism of, okay, well, I don't use, for example, psychedelics as a real hot button in the transformational community, right? For some people, they're like, I use plant medicines and it's the game changer for me. It changed my life. For others, they're like, I don't need those tools, and that's not for me at all, right? And it's all correct, right? When you're talking about a substance, my lovely friend Kara said it really well the other day. She said, if you're using them to enhance, that's a good thing. If you're using them to numb yourself or to sort of avoidance, right, then that's not, right? So two people could take the same substance. One is using it from a perspective of enhancing. One is really trying to numb or avoid or repress their life, mask their pain, whatever, right? Two very different energetic outcomes from those two paths. So I think it's really crucial as we all sort of level up and sort of figure out our own preferences and what is good for us. A guy who's coming on the show soon, Jason Estes, I was watching a video of his the other day, and he was saying, look, for one person, a can of soda might be the greatest path to enlightenment, right? And he was using an extreme example, but I really loved it. It really resonated with me. It's like we get so caught up in these ideas of how in the path, yet we're all completely unique emanations of source. So there is no one path back to re-remembering, to linking up with source. There are paths that are sort of tried and true and oh yeah, this path is wide. A lot of people can walk down the path of meditation. A lot of people can walk down the path of, listening to a broadcast like this. A lot of people can, listen to music and get into an altered state. But there could be some people it works the exact opposite for, right? So we need to be really, really careful with that and in our judgments of how and why people are doing what it is they do and allowing them to have their own process. Right? So important. Anything that I've done in my own life, we sometimes will do things and then sort of judge ourselves for them. I shouldn't have eaten that piece of pie. What a loser, I slipped off the wagon. It's loving yourself right where you are and knowing that by you loving yourself for it and then doing it different next time, every moment's another chance to turn it around, all around, right? So that's okay. Okay, I ate the piece of pie and the worst thing I can do is sit here and beat myself up over it. That is the absolute worst thing. Energetically, what am I doing vibrationally? Whereas, let's say if I ate that piece of pie and I thought, this is the most nourishing, loving thing I could ever do for my body. And I needed it. I needed the comfort food right now. And it really checked that box, right? Now it's become a positive experience for your body, right? And all of these things, they're all like placebos. There's someone, I believe, with the right perspective could sit there and eat nothing but McDonald's and Ho-Hos all day and have the healthiest body ever. I believe that's possible with the power of consciousness and awareness. I don't recommend it as an easy path. There's so much information how it typically does harm. But, for every, all it takes is one black swan for them all not to be white, right? And so once you start to understand, there's all these anomalies and it all starts from your thinking about it and your consciousness and the vibrational state that you are bringing to the experience. That is more important than any ingredient in a package. And so what can you do? What are you doing to raise your vibration today? Are you doing something every day? Listening to this. Once again, I know you're doing something if you're listening to this, and kudos, I applaud you. How about, what else can you do? Can you, add 5 minutes of listening to a song where you dance in your underwear and just get in this altered state of excitement? Doing, maybe, meditation, obviously that's a big one. Let's say that's one you don't resonate with as much. Okay, what about doing a guided meditation? Find one on YouTube. What about Or there's talking and they're stepping you through things. That's a different approach. What about finding a song, listening to a song, and just letting it get you in that elevated state? Right? And this is what creates serendipity. This is what creates magic. This is where you sort of step into that state of quantum superposition and then come back out the other side, and you're now more aligned with magical things that are going to reflect back to you. Once you take it upon yourself, that book Supernatural talks about mixing up your routine, right? Doing things that are going to enhance this potentiality of stepping into an increased vibrational state. And there's so many fun ways you can do it, right? But go out and resonating with gratitude is the most powerful thing that you can do. Taking 5 minutes today to write out all the things you're grateful for. Go out and sit in your front yard, and for the first time, go look and really tap into the tree that's a living being standing there that you've never really even noticed before, or given it your attention, energy, and love. The animals, listen to the noises, the kids playing in the neighborhood, whatever it is, right? Become radically aware for the first time. This is a path to stepping into that elevated vibrational state. And these are free, easy ways to do it, right? This is how you want to increase your abundance and serendipity and synchronicity and magic in your life. These are the paths, these simple things, and find the ones that are right for you. Because it's right for someone else doesn't mean it's right for you. And it's completely okay if you have a different path that resonates with you than even the majority of people, right? You are a unique emanation of source, and love yourself exactly where you're at. This is the path. We're doing it. I have a clip here I want to play, and it's called Why Raising Your Vibration Increases Serendipity. It's from a TEDx University of Brighton talk. Joanna McEwen. I found it on the TEDx Talks YouTube page. Let's take a listen.
Serendipity. What a beautiful word, conjuring part serene sailing with a hint of good-natured fun. Serendipity, that chance beneficial meeting, the unexpected conversation that provides just the answer you're looking for. The perfectly timed taxi ride that takes you past the cinema showing the film you've been wanting to see, where you accidentally knock over somebody else's popcorn who turns out to be the boy from school who you used to have a crush on. And guess what? A year later, you're happily married. Serendipity. So if that is serendipity in action, how does it work? How does it work? Are there higher powers directing the details of our lives? Or is it just a random coincidence of events? Is there anything we can do to enhance the occurrences of these positive events? It is my proposition today that whilst life throws many events our way, some positive, some challenging, we have within ourselves the power and possibility to create an environment that enhances the probability of these fortunate events that make our lives a little more plain sailing and a lot more fun. Before we continue, I would like to explain that I am a qualified and experienced sound therapist. I have studied spiritual and scientific texts as they relate to sound and vibration. Some of the things I'm going to talk about today might initially sound impossible, but I would ask you to suspend your disbelief and remember, in the words of the author Paulo Coelho, people never learn by being told. They have to find out for themselves. It's about taking my words today and relating them to your own experience. And if enough truth resonates for you, go out and experience it for yourself. Find out if it holds true for you. To understand why I believe we are able to create and influence serendipitous events, I would like you to consider that we live in a vibrational universe. You are a vibrational being whose cells and organs all pulsate at a particular frequency. Our brain pulsates with electromagnetic energy affected by our emotions, our health, and our general state of well-being. Our body contracts and pulses at various rates, including your heartbeat, your stomach contracting, and the very act of breathing. Together, they make up you, a composite of frequencies, and so we each vibrate to our own personal tune. Disease, depression, negative behaviour patterns, These are all symptoms of a body and mind being out of tune, quite literally. Not only do our bodies vibrate on a cellular level, these vibrations do not end with the skin, but instead continue out into space on a vibratory continuum, being connected by an energy field or a matrix of waves. I'd like you to rub your hands together really fast and then hold them a couple of millimeters away from each other. Can you feel a slight resistance? That is energy. Nikola Tesla said, if you want to find the secret of the universe, you need to think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. If an energetic force is struck at the same resonant frequency as another object in a vicinity, the vibrations will cause the second object to begin vibrating. In terms of how you experience the world, the energy and vibration you give off is met and reflected back. We can feel this on an emotional level when we say that somebody's on our wavelength or we feel in tune with a personal situation. Why is this important? Well, if your internal vibration is one of anxiety, depression, anger, the life experience you have may very well provide you with people and situations that reflect this back at you, thereby reinforcing the feeling and so creating a circuitous negative experience of life. It's a bit like tuning into different radio waves. Depending on what frequency you emit, will decide on what station you pick up. Therefore, if we can raise and enhance our internal vibration, we can create a situation that reflects back a more positive experience of life. So, how do we create that shift? Ancient teachings' view of how the world is created is through sound. Whilst the truth of these views can be debated, what is clear from modern research, sound can at the very least affect matter. In the 18th century, Ernest Chladni put sand onto a glass plate and vibrated it with a violin bow. The sand was pulled into creative and beautiful symmetric patterns. This work has been continued with the invention of the cymoscope by John Reed, who uses water as a surface membrane in which to imprint sound and create a digital representation of sound and vibration. In the following video clip, you will see the sound and vibration as represented on the cymoscope of a singing bowl, much like the one I have here. As you can hear, the bowl has rich and complex harmonics. Notice the symmetrical shapes and the similarities to those found in sacred geometry and within the harmonious shapes found in nature. Through the study of microcymatics and sonocytology, we are now able to hear the difference between a healthy and unhealthy cell. According to Gardner Snook of Manchester University, the difference between a healthy cell and a cancerous cell is like two very large orchestras all playing their instruments at the same time. But in the cancerous orchestra, the tuba is horribly out of tune. In the following two clips, you can hear the difference between the healthy pulsations of a yeast cell and the high-pitched frequency of one that is stressed. Notice the distortions as represented on the cymoscope of the one that is stressed. Through the latest experiments using microcymatics, it has been suggested that through the principle of entrainment, whereby a more powerful frequency causes a weaker frequency to synchronize with it, we can excite the membrane of a cell into coherent geometrical patterns. Therefore, if we direct harmonious sound towards our bodies, we are able to bring our cells into their own optimum frequency. Not only do we vibrate on a cellular level, our consciousness, our thoughts and emotions all have their own energetic imprint. Masaru Emoto, in his book, The Secret Life of Water, exposed water to harmonious sounds, healing thoughts and prayer, as well as dissonant music and negative thoughts. He then froze the water and took photographs of the water crystals. The water that had been exposed to the harmonious sounds and the healing thoughts and prayer created beautiful and geometric water crystals, and those that didn't were misshapen or not present at all. Many scientists and philosophers have pondered, where does consciousness and our thoughts arise from? Whether you believe this is from a God-given source or from somewhere deep inside the brain, latest research has discovered that it is through our bodily responses to it, is in quantum vibrations found in microtubules within brain neurons. Therefore, as we have already found out, if by putting harmonious thoughts into our brains, we can turn our perceptions and our thoughts from chaos to beauty. We've all used music to calm and energize ourselves, whether it is dance music on a Saturday night or down-tempo jazz on a Sunday. Pachelbel's canon was my go-to when in the throes of teenage angst. I have subsequently discovered that the perfect fifth harmonic, as found in Baroque music, is one of the most healing harmonic arrangements there is, being both expansive and stable. By creating a steady rhythm through the use of Baroque music, toning a single vowel, or through the use of a gong, a Himalayan bowl, or through a mother singing a lullaby to her child, a steady rhythm can be created that allows the mind to latch onto it, slow down, and relax. The left and right hemispheres of the brain begin to resonate to a steady rhythm, bringing together the more linear left side with a more emotional and creative right. The subconscious and unconscious minds become aligned. Unresolved issues are released, and you become more vibrationally coherent and increasingly powerful. When we say that somebody is charismatic, what we are feeling is their personal vibration. When this happens, life starts to flow, and those serendipitous moments increase. Why? Einstein quoted as saying, "We cannot solve problems using the same kind of thinking we had when we created them." By creating a more coherent and harmonizing on our bodies and our thoughts, we can change our thoughts and change the way we perceive the world. We start to see the world through a truthful lens, being curious of the opportunities presented to us. We respond creatively to situations, taking action that perhaps others might not, and perhaps we have not done in the past. It is at this moment, those serendipitous moments that seem so random and elusive, start to become more frequent and expected. Because not only are we tuned into a more enjoyable radio station, we become less passive and more active at steering our course, whereby we can live a life more expansive and increasingly joy-filled. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, so she's talking about, I love how this is a great example of whatever you're vibrating at, you are going to see a reflection of, and think of it just like, a guitar string, right? If you pluck a certain string on a guitar next to another one, the one next to it will start resonating and vibrating as well. They're in resonance, right? So this is a wonderful example of how like attracts like and vibrates. You're stirring up the vibration of something that is, that is like what you're emanating. Always, 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 always. You're doing this. You're a guitar string constantly plucking itself, right? What are you plucking? And as a result, what is vibrating in resonance with the string that you're plucking? And the cool thing is you've got a lot of options there, and you are in control. And the awareness that this is how it works, is everything. If you guys want to check out the movie, she's talked about Dr. Emoto, which is a wonderful study, showing how the water molecules were changed based off, monks meditating on them, sending them love or sending hateful energy, and seeing the difference under a high-powered microscope. From a great, maybe 10 years plus ago, a documentary. It's an interesting way they shot this. It's kind of like a documentary and a story tied into one, and it's called What the Bleep Do We Know? And they have all about Dr. Emoto's work. So I recommend seeing that for sure. It's probably on Gaia, maybe on Netflix. You can definitely find it out there. What the Bleep Do We Know? If you haven't seen that. But let's no longer be like the cancer cell, the tuba out of tune, right? At one point you hear her actually share a sound from living cells, recorded from living cell was the first one you heard there. And then the second one was the stress cell, which you could hear the difference. It sounded stressed. And isn't it interesting? It's like even the noises it made are the type of noises we make as if we're stressed, right? Sort of screeches. And it's like, if you're in a tough situation, being harmed or hurt or physical pain, it's like all reflections. We're all reflections of the stars. That's what we're raising up to. That is, at some point in your evolution, this physical body of yours, the consciousness that animates this body is going to just keep leveling up as it gets more and more about how this game works. And one day, I believe in some other timeline, in some other now, we are actually stellar beings. These stars you see out there twinkling, those are living entities, right? And it's just such a fascinating thing to think about how vast this journey is. I read from the book a while back, The Psychic Explorer. And if you guys didn't catch that, I would recommend going to positivehead.com and searching Psychic Explorer and listening to the channelings from the earth, message from the earth and the sun and beyond the beyond, and all these different entities supposedly that were channeled through the individual that wrote the book. And don't know if that's what's going on there, if he really is channeling or not. All I know is the information is highly poetic and inspiring. Great way to raise your vibration. Go listen to those months back where I read from, and it talks about how I remember like Message from the Earth talking about at one point in time I was much like you, and now I've evolved into something beyond what you can really even imagine, but you'll be here one day too. And it's like, wow, what a wild thing to think about, this journey that you're on. You're in this timeless journey. Time is on your side because there is no time. So relax about aging. You're not too late. You're right on time. You're right where you need to be in this now. And everything, so much lies before you. You have so many reasons to be just absolutely inspired and motivated. And I hope that you are. I know that you are. And I know that this song is going to help bring you there too. It's Elanerio. The song is called Stars. Until next time, journey well. Love you so, so much. Also, before we cue up today's song, I wanted to let you all know that we have finally created the Game with the Universe on our website, where you can choose the first number that comes to your mind, and it'll pull up that episode number of the podcast. I've been saying this is a great way to co-create synchronicity and magic with your higher self for quite some time by doing this manually. But now if you go to positivehead.com/YO universe, there is a super fun and simple interface to play this game with your higher self. I firmly believe just by setting the intention to play in this way, it opens up the door for magic, and it's a synchronistic way to hone in on nuggets of wisdom out of the huge catalog of episodes that are specifically appropriate for you at this time in your journey to becoming the next greatest and grandest version of yourself. And it also makes for a super fun way to engage and invite friends, family, people on social media to check out the podcast as well. So be sure to check out positivehead.com/YOUNIVERSE and be sure to tell all your friends so they can play a game with the universe, which also helps the show to reach new people, which I greatly appreciate. And as a quick reminder, be sure to also check out positivehead.com/transformation if you're curious to learn more about Purium superfoods and why I take them every day. On this journey of becoming the next greatest and grandest version of ourselves that we have all embarked upon, I can't stress the importance of managing your physical vibration enough. And quite honestly, Purium has put together the simplest plan I've found to do so, and I'm sincerely excited to share it with all of you. Lastly, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is my personal go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear me constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place I know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out.
Across valleys folding, across waters frozen, across the time between my dawn and your setting sun. These are stories blowing, these words tend to showing. How can I touch the shape of wing bindings falling away? Oh, tongue set you free, and oh, mind let it be. Oh, land, teach me how to lay in the storming wind. Across hearts aching, across skies breaking, across the time between our suns. I'm lost in your stars, by the light of the dark moon. Just be as you are, just do as you do. By grace and devotion, by letting go of everything. By breath as it takes you, by the light of the dark moon. I'm lost in your stars. I'm lost in your stars. I'm lost in your stars. Be speaking honey wine, making wishes star sad. These are the arrows in the battle of becoming. Make me a warrior, a hummingbird disarming. You be a compass to guide this flight. Take me surrendered, fill me to spilling over the roots of this endless sky. I'm lost in your stars, the dark moon. Just be as you are, by the light of the dark moon. Just be as you are, just do as you do, by grace and devotion, by letting go of everything, by breath as it takes you, by the light of the dark moon. I'm lost in your stars. In your stars, I'm lost in your stars.